AP Statistics, Unit 6, Example 6. Cholesterol levels of adult American women can be described by a normal model with a mean of 188 milligrams per deciliter, deciliter, I don't know. Anyway, and a standard deviation of 24. So what percent of adult American women do you expect to have cholesterol levels over 200 milligrams per whatever? All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, notice that I want the percent, so I'm looking for a proportion, I'm looking for a probability, etc., etc. So I want to first draw a picture. Key for communication here, because my distribution is normal with a mean of 188 and a standard deviation of 24. So I'm going to put 188 here as my mean, and I want to know the percentage that I would expect to have levels over 200. Well, 200 is above 188, and I'm going to shade to the right because I'm interested in finding the percent above that value. So I'm going to write an inequality, and then I'm going to use Staplet. I'm looking for area under the curve. The mean, of course, is 188. Standard deviation 24. I'm looking for a value to the right, or area to the right of a value, and that value is 200. So 30.85, or 30.85%, I should say. Okay, so I would expect 30.85% of American women, adult American women, to have cholesterol levels above 200. If you use the chart, you got to find a z-score first. Should it be positive or negative? Well, 200 is above 188, so it should be positive. Okay, so 0.5 is my z-score. So I'm going to go to my chart here. So I've got 0.5, and it's 0.500, so 0.6915 would be the area to the left of that value. But since I'm looking for area to the right of that value, I've got to subtract that from 1. So if you use your chart, you've got to subtract the 0.6915 from 1. And you get the same thing. It's magical. All right, part B. What percent of adult American women would you expect to have cholesterol levels between 150 and 170? So I'm going to have 188 as my center here. Both of these values are below the mean. I'm going to write my inequality. Neato speedo. If I use Staplet, I'm going to choose between two values. So 150 and 170. And that gives me about 17%. If you use your chart, you're going to have to find two z-scores. You're going to have to find this area and this whole area, and then subtract the small area from the larger area. For the sake of time, I'm not going to show you that. Okay, C, estimate the interquartile range of the cholesterol levels. All right, this should sound familiar to you. The interquartile range, or IQR, remember, is Q3 minus Q1. So we've got to figure out what those values are here. So I'm going to draw my graph, And the mean, of course, is going to be 188. And then Q3 and Q1. You need to think about where these are located in terms of percentages. So if you'll recall from when we learned about the box plot, the median marks the 50th percentile. Well, the Q1 marks the 25th percentile, and Q3 marks the 75th percentile. So Q1 is going to be over here somewhere, and this area is going to be 0.25, and then the Q3 is going to be here, and this over here is also going to be 0.25 because everything to the left of Q3 would be 0.75. So when you're finding these, you need to find these values here. So let's go to Staplet. And this time in my drop down at the top, I want to find values corresponding to specific areas. So if I want to calculate it for the left tail area of 0.25, even though that 0.25 is not shaded, it doesn't mean we still can't find the value. So I've got 171.812. Okay, so that is going to be my Q1 because I found the 25% to the left of some value, which I didn't know when I started. So I am going to go back to my notes here. So the Q1 is approximately 172. I'm just going to round it. All right. And then Q3, I'm going to go back to Staplet. There's one of two ways that you can do this. You can change the area to right tail 25%, and you can get it that way for your 204. Or you can use left tail and 75%, and you'll get the same thing. It really doesn't matter which way you go because the only thing we're looking for here is that X value. Okay, so Q3, again, I'm going to round this to 204. So the IQR is 204 minus 172, which would give me 32, and then our measurement here. Okay, so that is the estimated range of, or the estimated interquartile range. All right, at what value are the highest 15% of adult American women's cholesterol levels? So, draw my picture here, the highest 15%. I want to know what that X value is there. Okay, so for this problem, you can go to Staplet. If you go to Staplet, you are looking for a value corresponding to an area again, and this time you are looking for right tail area. We're going to calculate that, roughly 212 or 213, whatever you want to use. So X would be approximately 213. If you use the chart, remember you've got to look up an area to the left of that value. So if you use a chart, you're looking for a value that's above 188. So you're looking for an area in the positive values. So we're going to look for the area that is closest to 85% because that's to the left of that 15%. So the value that's closest to 85% looks like that's going to be it, 0.8508. And your z-score, of course, would be 1.04. So then you would use 1.04 in your formula here, and then you would just calculate that. Okay, and you would get approximately the same value. I don't have my calculator handy, or I would find it for you, but that's how you would do that.